Shalom Aleichem. My name is Rabbi Adam Dubin. I am the Rav of Kesser Shem Tov in Pesach, New Jersey, as well as working in the office of the RCA. In this Vart, I wanted to share an idea really that was spurred by my older son, who is now in first grade, based off of a question that his Rebbe asked every week. His Rebbe gives a question to ask around the Shabbos table. And so this past week, the question involved korech, and whether or not you can fulfill your mitzvah of achilas matzah and achilas maror by just eating korech. But the punchline is, we all know that Bisman Hazeh, the answer is no, because after all, the achilas matzah is deraisa and the achilas maror is derabanan. In the time of Hillel Hazakin, of course, this was a different matter, but let's explore this a little bit further. The Gemara Mesechus Brachos admonishes us not to perform mitzvahs bundled together. We don't want to give the impression that the mitzvahs are an unwanted burden or an obligation that we just need to discharge as quickly as possible. So the majority opinion is that the two mitzvahs of achilas matzah and achilas maror should be performed separately. Of course, as we know, Hillel Hazakin had his custom to put the korban Pesach together inside with the maror and the matzah and eat it together like a sandwich. So a question comes to why. This question is based off of Rav Kook here. To understand Hillel's opinion, we can examine the significance of matzah and maror. Matzah, as we know, is a symbol of cherus. True cherus means the opportunity to grow and to develop according to our inner nature and our natural gifts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us without any interference or coercion from outside influences or outside forces. This freedom is symbolized by the matzah, which is a simple food consisting only, as we know, of flour and water. It's unaffected by any outside influences, outside ingredients, or even more chemical reactions. To form the Bnei Yisrael as an Am Kadosh, the national character needed to be independent of any type and all types of foreign influences. When our forefathers left Mitzrayim, they were free from any, we'll call it spiritual baggage that of the Mitzri culture. So in preparation for bringing the korban Pesach, they were commanded to draw out and take for yourselves the sheep, as it says in the Parsha. What does it mean to draw out? The Midrash explains that our forefathers needed to remove any affinity for the avodah zarah of Mitzrayim from within themselves. Start with a clean slate, without any national character of their own. A holy character could be imprinted on our national soul. This is part of the matzah metaphor. It lacks any specific shape, which is flat, and its taste of its own, so that the desired form and flavor may be properly imposed upon it. Maror, as we know, is a pumfakert in many ways for matzah. It's got a very pungent flavor. The bitterness we see as a simon, as a symbol of servitude, of avdus. But even avdus may have a positive quality to it. An individual wants to become a doctor, wants to become a lawyer, wants to have any kind of a profession, needs to spend many years in school to achieve this goal. The long years of concentrated effort require a lot of dedication, a lot of discipline. These years are a form of avdus, but an avdus that's going to advance the final goal, and therefore are ultimately a true expression of cherus. This idea can also be applied to the Bnei Yisrael. Our neshamas are ingrained with our divine nature. but we suffer from characteristics of imperfections that prevent us from realizing our real inner nature. For this reason, we accept upon ourselves a pleasant form of Avdus, Avodas Hashem. We acquired this ability in Mitzrayim. This is, if you will, slavery's positive contribution. It teaches us to accept the deferment of our immediate desires and short-term goals for something greater. And this is a central message of Maror, acceptance of our bitter aspects, with the knowledge that this resolve will allow us to attain an even higher objective. For this reason, we eat the Maror only after eating the matzah, only after we have clarified our ultimate goals. Now, perhaps we can better understand the disagreement between Hillel HaZaken and the other members of Chazal. Freedom, Cheres, is symbolized by matzah, reveals the inherent kedusha of Yisrael and our nature, our natural love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah. This innate character enables us to overcome desires of our own that do not concur with our lofty goals. It's through our persistence and our dedication to the overall goal that will reveal our inner resources of Cherus. Both of these traits, Cherus and Avdus, need to be a free act without interference from one another. When a spirit of Cherus and independence is appropriate, it should not be constrained by an attitude of Avdus. And when the discipline and a sense of duty are needed, they should not be disrupted by a desire for Cherus. So according to the majority opinion, we should eat matzah and maror separately, indicating that each trait should be expressed to its fullest extent. However, the ultimate goal is attained only when we recognize that these two forces do not contradict each other. Together, they present the highest level of Cherus, whose nobility and power is fully revealed when it wears the keser of lofty Avdus, the Avodah to our Avdus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchei Amlachim. It's an Avodah that is Cherus in its purest form. So Hillel HaZaken would eat matzah and maror together. He sought to emphasize that Cherus and Avdus are not contradictory. Generally, the quality of Avdus belongs more to a preparatory stage. But in the overall picture, the two forces are interrelated. They complement one another in order to achieve a higher and a greater goal. I'd like to think also that perhaps another reason on a more practical level why we don't eat the matzah more together, as I mentioned at the outset, is because today, again, the matzah is still considered to be a mitzvah deraisa and the maror a mitzvah derabanan. And you can't end up to flavor the deraisa with the derabanan, because then you can't really taste the matzah. All year round, we long to eat matzah. Okay, I understand. Not everybody likes the flavor of matzah all the time. I happen to like it, but that's me. Fine, I get it. But we have a mitzvah. We're required to refrain from eating matzah leading up to Pesach so that we desire the flavor of it. And if we're going to then add the flavor of the maror together with the matzah, before we've had the opportunity to taste the matzah on its own, then we can't taste. We don't have that special flavor that we've been longing for the entire year. So whether you think from a practical level or from a more spiritual, lofty level, the idea is ultimately we'll be able to achieve a confluence of matzah and maror together. But until we reach that state, until we reach the time when we are all reunited in Eretz Yisrael, by the Beis Hamikdash, we can't really have it both ways at the same time. We need to be able to appreciate that as good as life may seem right now, it's not where we're ultimately meant to be. And so we are still needing to have the flavor of maror by itself. At the same time, we need to recognize that we are free. No matter where you are in the world, we are free. We're free to serve a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's our ultimate goal until Mashiach comes, and we'll be even more in a revealed way. So may we all have a Zman Cheruseinu in the most appropriate of ways. I wish everyone a Chag Kasher v'Sameach. And Emet Hashem, this will be our last year to celebrate Pesach in Galus. Amen.